Hey, seasoned athletes, I'm Robin Leggett, and this is episode 79 of the Seasoned Athlete Podcast. Seasoned Athlete is your home for inspiring stories and motivational advice from competitive athletes representing a wide variety of sports who all share one common bond. They are all over 40 years old. We are here to prove one story at a time that age does not have to prevent you from achieving your bold athletic and fitness goals. If you like what you hear, I would love it if you would subscribe, share with your friends, and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And if you really love us, you can support our ability to continue to bring inspirational stories to you by way of either a one-time donation or by becoming a monthly sponsor. Just go to seasonedathlete.me and click on one of the Support Seasoned Athlete buttons to help support this DIY independent podcast. Well, we have reached the final part, the final step, the final episode of the AGELESS Series. So let's recap, shall we? The AGELESS Series takes you through all the steps in what I call my AGELESS method. Follow these steps so that you can live a bolder, more exciting, more active and athletic, ageless life. And so if that's something that seems foreign to you or out of your reach, just go back to episode 75 and listen to all of the episodes 75 up until this one, and you'll get everything you need to know step by step on how to live an ageless life. So let's go over some of these steps. We had assess your priorities, which is really about setting a goal and putting it in your calendar and making it real. Get your body strong. So the physical training that you need to accomplish those bold goals that you're looking at. And this could be a fitness goal. This could be a health goal. This could be a career goal, an entrepreneurial goal. You still have to have a strong body to give you the energy you need to go after these big things in your life. Eat for ageless immunity. So really fortifying everything with good fuel for your body. Level up your recovery, super key as we age, and especially if we pursue an athletic life. It's just as important as working out, as training, as fitness, is taking care of your body, doing the recovery work, doing the stuff in between the workouts, before and after your workouts, and getting that sleep so that your body can do the things it needs to do for you to get those gains you're looking for. Empower your confidence. This is the brain training, the mind and soul training. Getting that confidence. We talked about the before and after effect of confidence, where when you pursue bold athletic goals, the result and the reward often is a boost of confidence, but you often need confidence to even get started, get that first step out the door. So there's a cause and effect thing that goes with confidence. And so we talked about that in the Empower Your Confidence episode. So now we are on our final step of the AGELESS method. And this is the one that ties it all together. And it's called set your plans into action. This is the true action step of the AGELESS method. You can do all of that stuff, but if you actually don't take steps towards that goal, if you're not actually going after those big, bold, scary, crazy, audacious goals, then all of it's for nothing. You have to set your plans into action. This is about ditching perfection. This is about ditching the message you tell yourself that you're not worth it. This is the ditching the messages that other people have told you that you are too old or it is too late to do any of this stuff, and actually going for it. This is about imperfection. This is about imperfect action. That's actually that's my phrase for the year. That's my whole mantra for this whole year. When 2020 started, that's what year it is right now. You might be listening to it later, but at the time of this recording, it is 2020, and we are in the middle of a global pandemic. And even if you're listening to this and that's not happening anymore, I'm sure you will not have forgotten it. So at the start of the year, at the start of 2020, I had to come up with a word or a phrase or a mantra. I do this every single year. And the one that popped into my head was imperfect action. I spent a lot of last year in the planning and preparation phase, but not actually getting a whole lot done. And I wanted to ditch that. So this year was about imperfect action. It's about making stuff happen. And what an interesting phrase to start the year with, right? Because, you know, the beginning of 2020, was the start of a new decade. So there was so much promise that was locked into the idea of 2020, that not only are we starting a new year, but we're starting a decade. And I really wanted this to be the biggest, baddest, most awesome decade of my life. I was calling it, and I still am calling it, the decade of ageless. And this is what I've been helping other people understand with their lives, that this can be the decade of ageless for you. You can accomplish bold goals that you thought were not possible for you as long as you set your mind to it and believe you can. That's all part of the Empower Your Confidence step. If you're missing that step, go back one episode. But I wanted to help people like me set their plans into action. So decade of ageless, let's go for it. People are excited. We're stoked. Brand new decade, fresh start. And then the pandemic hit, and that changed everything for us. So, everything's put on hold. Our lives are turned upside down. You're working at home or you're not working at all. Workouts are out the window. Your gym membership isn't looking like it did if you even had one. Just everything's kind of a mess, right? And so for many, those big, bold goals, if you had them at the start of the year and you were ready to set those plans into action, well, that got scrapped. That got tossed aside. And the thing is, it was easy to toss that stuff aside because we viewed this as a temporary situation. We just have to ride this 1 month or maybe these 2 months out and see what happens. Well, it just, at the time of the recording of this episode, I say that a lot, but, just a little bit of perspective, but it seems to keep going. And then we look at the future and we hear the phrase new normal. We realize that things are going to be different for us, that we're not going to get back to the way it was before. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. But, this is a big but, you can't put your bold goals on hold forever. You just can't. That's no way to live. And it's not going to inspire you. It's not going to motivate you. It's not going to drive you towards anything. And if anything, it's going to drive you the other way. It's going to increase your stress. It's going to lead you towards sadness and depression. And it might already have led you there. Well, I'm hoping this episode can serve as a reset. That just because circumstances are not ideal doesn't mean that you cannot pursue your bold goals, that you cannot set a plan into action. During this time, I have held on to my mantra, Imperfect Action, as an entrepreneur and as an athlete. So some things I have done to set plans into action when things have not been in favor of setting plans into action. First of all, I've looked at my race schedule. So I'm an obstacle racing athlete. I love running. I love races. The very last thing I got to do before the stuff hit the fan was I ran the LA Marathon. I ran my very first marathon. Grateful, super grateful that I got to do that because that was really the last event that happened anywhere before everything shut down. Now all my races are canceled, or they probably will be canceled. I had a whole season ahead of me. That's not happening. So, and I know many of you are in a similar situation if you're listening around this time, but I made a decision for myself that I was still going to train for my races. Even if they weren't happening, I was going to train for my races. So now I'm training for what I call pretend races. So I look at my calendar and my calendar still has my races on them, but they are pretend races. So they are there in theory, but I train for them for real. In May, I was supposed to run the Spartan race in Big Bear. It's a race I do every single year. It became a pretend race. I trained for it. And then Spartan has virtual races. So I ran a virtual version of that race. Not the same, but that's okay. We have to make adjustments. We have to be willing to be flexible and creative. The more flexible and creative you can be, the better it's going to feel for you. The less jarring the cancellations are going to feel. And the more apt you will be to continue to set plans into action. So I did that in regards to my fitness, my training. I'm also looking for different kinds of virtual races, something I never thought I'd do. I actually used to poo-poo virtual races. I was like, why would anyone want to do a virtual race and get a medal mailed to you if you could do real races? Well, guess what? We can't do real races now. So now I'm much more open to virtual races. So if you're being flexible, you may open your mind and your heart to things that perhaps you didn't before, but then you're going to open your mind and your heart to rewards and feelings of accomplishment that you didn't need to come from these places before, but now they can actually provide that value for you. So open-mindedness and creativity is super helpful. In my business, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a podcaster, and I've had this thing in my head, this imperfect action thing, where if I come up with an idea, I need to make it happen. And sometimes these ideas come to me at not ideal times, and I don't have an ideal window of preparation, but I've been sticking to imperfect action. I've been sticking to set plans into action, really following that step. So if I come up with an idea that I think can be useful and serve people like you, my listeners, my audience, and women over 40 that I seek to help through my coaching, I set that plan into action. So being open to not talking yourself out of ideas. Not tucking yourself out of ideas when they come to you. If you think something's cool and different and creative and it sounds hard, difficult to plan, reach out to people. You can find help. There might be others who think your idea is the coolest thing you've ever thought of and want to help you make it happen. And the feeling of accomplishment from taking an idea to result to an actual thing, turning it into a thing that's real, sometimes there's no greater sense of accomplishment than that. That's what I felt when I created this podcast. When I created Seasoned Athlete over just about 2 years ago now, almost exactly 2 years ago, it was nothing when I came up with the idea. And I learned how to do the things you need to do to make podcasts and turn it into a real thing. And I was like, I made this. I made this all on my own. How cool is that? There is no greater feeling than creating something out of nothing. And so this is an opportunity for you. Think about how can you create something out of nothing and make it real and turn it into something that can actually help people in their lives. So that's setting a plan into action. So I'm sharing more personal stories in this particular episode, but I think, and I'm hoping that you can derive value from my personal experiences, both before and during the pandemic and hopefully after the pandemic. So I want you to take some inspiration from these stories that I have told you today and think about an idea that you've had or a goal that you have had that perhaps predated the pandemic, or this could be after the pandemic, but the pandemic might have affected because life could be different. But what is an idea that you might have had or a goal that you wanted to chase that you either shoved aside because you don't have the time or energy, or you don't feel you're worthy of doing it, or you just didn't know how yet? The internet exists to tell you how. And your friends exist to tell you how. There are resources that will tell you how to do a thing that you don't know how to do. So don't let that be an excuse or a reason not to do it. But what is something that you have wanted to do that you told yourself or someone told you or you thought life told you you can't do? I challenge you to set that plan into action. And you can use every step in this ageless method to get from goal, to get from assessing your priority and making it a priority all the way to setting that plan into action. I would love to hear from you about that. I would love to hear stories about how you have taken something from nothing into something. You created something from nothing. That's what I meant to say. So I would love if you would share stories. You can email me, seasonedathlete@gmail.com, or on social media. I would love to hear your stories, because I think the more of us that share these stories, the more we can inspire others. That multiplies. Inspiration multiplies, and everybody's an inspiration to someone, even you. Believe it. Okay. So that's the final step of my ageless method. You have it all. If you've missed any steps, go back, listen to episodes 75 through 79 and get it all, and you'll be good to go. So thank you for joining me for the AGELESS series, a very special group of episodes in the Seasoned Athlete podcast. If you like what you have heard today or in any of the other episodes and you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to the Seasoned Athlete podcast, share with your friends, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Seasoned Athlete Podcast. The music you heard in this episode is from a truly ageless musician, Jason Achilles. Learn more about him at jasonachilles.com. Hey, Seasoned Athletes, Robin here. If you want to fast track your way to living an ageless life, I want to personally invite you to my upcoming Ageless and Awesome Virtual Summit, taking place on Saturday, May 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. The Ageless and Awesome Virtual Summit is for women over 40 who want to gain confidence, overcome obstacles, whether they are on race courses or in your life, and truly become the ageless athlete that you are meant to be. I've invited some of my favorite experts to share their knowledge with you on topics such as creating a simple and streamlined fitness routine that fits into your life. I've invited some of my favorite experts to share their knowledge with you on topics such as creating a simple and streamlined fitness routine that fits into your life, developing realistic and workable healthy nutrition habits, and implementing practices to help you face fear, reduce anxiety, and gain energy and vitality in your life. This is a day just for you. You'll get to connect with other women over 40 who are striving to live an ageless life, just like you. And you'll come out of this event feeling inspired, empowered, and ready to embrace your agelessness. If this sounds exciting to you, which it should, go to seasonedathlete.me and click on the bar at the top of the page to get the full details, get to know the presenters, and reserve your spot. I'll see you at the Ageless and Awesome Virtual Summit on May 23rd. In the meantime, my fellow seasoned athletes, stay safe, stay strong, and be extraordinary.